What's up, guys? Let me just sort my camera out. So I wanted to do what I thought would be a somewhat important video to do today. Obviously, I wanted to talk a bit about this situation with the sacconejolys and all of the controversy that is surrounding them at the moment. To be honest, I am never going to stop talking about this. I am going to keep bringing this up and addressing this because it needs to be addressed. People need to be, it needs to be spoken about. Um, so obviously, we all know that what Jonathan is doing with the thumbnail, like this, the thumbnails and everything, is genuinely beyond disgusting. Like, there's no denying that. Um, it's just really, really kind of borderline creepy. I would go as far as to say. It's just so weird the fact that he thinks it's okay to use thumbnails where the kids have their mouths wide open in every thumbnail. I mean, it's very hard to actually find. There's not many. I'm going to find a video on Jonathan's channel that has where the kids are not don't have their mouths wide open in thumbnails. There's only a few videos that do have thumbnails that are not that bad for the most part. Most of them are extremely, extremely inappropriate and just completely disgusting. I think that there are a lot of safeguarding concerns going on here. There's a real lack of safeguarding going on here. That is suffice it to say. Um, Obviously, I know a lot of people have been, I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, they need to be answered. I mean, I think they need to. I think at the end of the day, I think the question that everybody has is, why is Anna so okay with this? Why does she not have a problem with what Jonathan is doing? Why is she not putting a stop to this? Because that's what she should have done. That's what she should be doing. It's something that she should have actually done a very long time ago. Like, it's just ridiculous the fact that she's basically letting him do this. Like, he's using thumbnails that's so disgusting. And she's basically just letting him do it, like, instead of putting a stop to it and saying no. I mean, to be honest with you, when I look at Jonathan, he's not the sort of person that I would want to be on, that I would want, well, that I'd allow to be on his own with the kids. I wouldn't feel comfortable, with him being on his own with the kids. I think the problem with Jonathan, he's not someone to be trusted. It's like, how can you trust him when he's on his own with the kids? You don't know what the sort of things he's getting up to. I mean, it's just really disturbing, like, a lot of the things that he's doing. And people aren't. I think at the end of the day, it is very understandable why people are so angry about this and are obviously not happy about this. I think, the thing that people are the thing that people are so angry about is the fact that Anna isn't doing anything about this. Like, she's not trying, like, she's not putting a stop to it, which is what she should be doing. And everyone knows that that is what she should be doing. Everyone knows that she needs to address this and she needs to put a stop to what he's doing. But she won't. She just doesn't care. Like, she just doesn't give a shit at the end of the day about the things that he's doing. You know, I mean, he could be showing his naked in the videos, and Anna probably wouldn't care about that. You know, it's like, that's how bad it is. The fact that he's doing all of these things that, like, these, predatory, somewhat perverted things that he's doing, and she's so okay with that. I called her out the other night on the YouTube short that she uploaded the other night. I called her out and said to her, like, why you called her out on called her out on this? And I was like, why are you not putting a stop to this? Why are you letting this happen? Why are you so okay with these thumbnails? And someone basically responded to that comment saying, it's basically telling me to shut up and leave them alone. And they basically said that Jonathan is a caring, loving father who cares about you, who just wants what's best for his kids. And I read that comment and I nearly vomited because it was that, such a fucking ridiculous comment We all know that's absolute bullshit. But he's about, I mean, having love and father, like, what fucking planet are people on if they actually think that? You know, I mean, when you read some of the comments on Jonathan's videos, some of the comments are, vomit inducing. They make me feel physically sick. When you see people posting on like, "Oh, you're such a great dad, Jonathan. You're the best father ever, Jonathan." No, he's really not. If people actually think that, they need fucking serious help. They're fucking seriously deluded. If people are fucking seriously deluded, if they actually think that, you know, I mean, do people not think that it's that what he's doing with these thumbnails is disgusting? Do people not think that he's a fucking creep? As I think we all know he is. You know, but that man has fucking creep written all over. You know, as I said before, he's the biggest pervert and child predator I've ever seen on the internet. I think it's very clear to see that he gets a lot of inspiration from Jordan Matter when it comes to the thumbnails. And there's a lot of similarities to the thumbnails that you see. But this has been like, when you look at the thumbnails, that Jordan Matter uses, you can see that there's a lot of similarities to the thumbnails that Jonathan uses. So it's not hard to say that Jonathan is getting some sort of inspiration from those thumbnails that Jordan Matter uses. And yeah, I guess you could say that Jordan Matter is a bit of a creepy individual himself. That goes without saying. And I know that some people might think I'm being a little bit harsh for saying that Jordan Matter's a bit of a creep, but I think there is a lot of people that feel that way. And there's a lot of people that feel the same way about Jonathan because of what he's doing with these thumbnails. You know, at the end of the day, they both need invested to be invested. They both need reporting to the authorities. As far as I'm concerned, if someone did that, I would shake them by the hand. Because I don't think that people would be doing the wrong thing or would be doing anything wrong by reporting them to the authorities. People would actually be doing the right thing by doing that. Because the way I see it, the more people that report him, the better. The more people that actually speak out about what the fuck he's doing, the more chances we actually have of someone actually putting a stop to this, which is what they should be doing. We all know that someone needs to be putting a stop to this, and that someone needs to be dealing with this, in whatever way is necessary. But it's just a really kind of ridiculous situation. It really is. Like it's so bad what's going on. The fact that Jonathan is doing all of these things, and Anna herself is so okay with that. She doesn't have a problem with that, and it's like, why does she not have a problem with that? Why is she so okay with that? That is the question that everyone is kind of asking right now. Like, why does she not have a problem with the things that he's ultimately doing? Like, I just don't know what to say. Like, I honestly don't. I wish I did know. I wish I did know what to say, but it's hard to kind of put it into words. Like the anger that I feel right now, and the anger that everyone, like how angry and frustrated people are right now. I've seen loads upon load, like loads of, obviously from reading, like watching TikTok videos about them and reading the comments. I've seen a hell of a lot of people saying that they've been blocked by Jonathan and or by Anna and or Jonathan for hauling them out over this whole business with the thumbnails and everything. And to be honest with you, that really doesn't surprise me. The fact that Anna is blocking people that that call her out over the fact that she's not addressing these thumbnails and everything. That is exactly what they'll do. You call them out for that, and she will block you. The other week I was commenting on one of the videos, and I saw someone had posted a comment saying protect, like on one of her TikTok videos. I saw someone had commented saying protect your kids. Now, I knew that comment would be very quickly deleted, obviously, and I knew that comment wasn't going to wasn't going to last long. Whenever anyone posts a comment like that, they don't last very long. It's just ridiculous. This whole situation is just a nightmare. Like, I feel so sorry for the kids because they're probably completely unaware. I mean, they probably don't realize or don't fully understand what their father is doing, like what he's acting or how what he's trying to do. Um, it was like, well, I was reading the comments. I think it was on one of either on the YouTube video he uploaded last week, or I think it was one of the YouTube shorts he uploaded. Someone at home, I saw someone posted a comment asking for more gymnastics videos, and I looked at that comment. At first, I thought it might have been, somewhat of an innocent comment. But then the more I looked at it, I was like, no, this might not be as innocent as it looks. It did look like it was a child that had written the comment, but it could have, that could very easily be a child predator or something posing as a child to kind of throw people off the scent. 'Cause that's what a lot of these child predators do. What a lot of child predators do is they pose as children in order to throw people off the scent. To make it so that people don't actually think or don't actually know that they're child predators. It's a good little tactic that they use. And I think he just got like it's like we all know that only child predator, only creeps and child predators would basically want to see more gymnastics videos. You'd have to be a sicko to ask for that. You know, and the saddest thing is that Jonathan is basically giving these creepy individuals what they want. That's what he's doing. He's basically giving these child predators exactly what they want and exactly what they're asking for. He's a very sick-minded individual. The guy the way I see it, the guy needs to be fucking arrested. Seriously. He needs to be arrested, and he needs to have his children taken off of him. Seriously, he really does. I think the police should also be confiscating his fucking hard drive and actually investigating that and seeing what he's got on that. Because I reckon he's got a lot of fucking dodgy stuff on that hard drive, because believe me. Trust me, trust me. He's an individual that probably has a lot of fucking dodgy stuff on his hard drive. Same with Christopher Inham. I dread to think what he's got on his hard drive as well. As he's probably got a lot of dodgy stuff on there on his hard drive too that probably needs looking at. You know, I mean, fucking hell! Like every time I see these comments from people saying, "Oh, you're such a great dad, Jonathan. You're the best dad ever, Jonathan." I really want to fucking scream because these comments are so fucking, pathetic. Those are probably the most shameful, pathetic comments I've ever seen. I know people think they're doing the right thing by sticking up for Jonathan and defending him and supporting him, but they're really not. It's like, how can you support someone who, such a sick-minded individual? How can people be so okay with the things that he's doing? How can people not see that what he's doing is fucking wrong? Surely everyone can fucking see that. I mean, if you can't see that what he's doing is wrong, then you seriously must be blind. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna hold back on this because this needed saying at the end of the day. You know, this is my channel. This is what I do. Yeah, I do other videos talking about other things, but I also like to do a lot of videos talking about things like this because this situation is a very kind of serious. It's a very bad situation, and the more people that talk about it, the better. The more people that report them, the better is what I would say. I seriously don't think anyone would be doing anything wrong by reporting them. I think it's what people need to do. People need to be reporting them and showing that they're not going to put a stop. They're not going to keep putting up with what Anna and Jonathan are doing. If Anna's not going to put a stop and not going to address these phone now to put a stop to what Jonathan is doing, maybe the authorities need to be getting. I mean, maybe the authorities need to get involved. Maybe it's the authority, somebody in a position of authority who needs to actually be asking these questions. Maybe somebody in a position of authority needs to be asking Anna exactly why is she so okay with this? Why is she not putting a stop to it? That's exactly what needs to happen. You know, It's not that any of us question her on this, but she won't dignify people with an answer. But maybe if the authorities questioned her on this, maybe she would actually explain. Maybe she would actually do something about it. Maybe if they gave her a telling off, maybe she would actually start putting a stop to this. Maybe she would realise that she needs to wake the fuck up and actually start being a decent mother for once and put a stop to what her fucking perverted child predator of a husband is doing on a regular basis. You know, it's fucking absolutely disgusting what he's doing. You know, and she is complicit in it. You know, she's enabling him to do this. That's what it comes down to. He's doing what he's doing. She's enabling him to do it. You know, it's wrong on every single level. You know, there's not really much else I could say about this. You know, I think, you know, I am angry about this. I think a lot of people are angry about this. A lot of people are furious about this, and they have every right to be. People have every right to be concerned about what is going on here. You know, how can people not be concerned when you look at some of the things that Jonathan is doing, the thumbnails that he's using, the way he's putting his hits out there online? It's fucking disgusting in every single possible way. I mean, I wouldn't say that he's worse than Chris because obviously he's never done anything on the level that Chris obviously on the level of what Chris did, you know. Um, but I dread to think what these hits are being exposed to behind the scenes, like behind closed doors. I dread to think what he's doing, what are the sort of things he's getting up to behind closed doors. You know, I reckon he's doing I reckon he's a lot more than a child. He's doing a lot more than exploiting his kids. That's for sure. Behind the scenes, he's probably doing a hell of a lot worse than what we know. There's probably you know a hell of a lot of bad things going on behind closed doors that none of us really know about. You know, I won't be surprised if in years to come there ends up being a documentary about sacconejolys, like a similar documentary to that of the Piper at Hell one. I reckon there'll be one like that for the sacconejolys. You know, the one that like the documentary that's out on Netflix. There'll be one like that. There'll be a documentary like that very soon about the sacconejolys. You know, they remind the sacconejolys is like another sort of Ruby Frank type situation the way I see it. Um, do I think I'm being unfair for saying what I'm saying? No, I don't think I'm being unfair at all. You know, I say the things that need saying. That's what I'm here to do. So yeah, just what I want to give my thoughts on that this morning. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.